das rien bonne chose. يلا اوكي ça marche. يلا اوكي ça marche. يلا سالي. Mary. And
Hi, Bernie and Teresa.
Hello.
I was thinking of putting in the chat sort of the overview of the time flow. If I can do that really quickly. So.
Okay.
I don't know why it's not copying.
Mary, just I think because I came on later, you might have to make the rooms.
I can switch the hosting over to you.
Oh, okay.
What's really weird is that I'm cutting and pasting the schedule into the chat and it's not going in.
Hello.
Hi,
Assalamu alaikum,
Sam.
everybody.
Assalamu alaikum, Sam.
Hey, I'm just going to, if you don't.
Oh, you cut out a little bit.
Say that again, Sam.
I'm going to test my share function.
Sure, go for it.
And how is my audio at this very moment?
It's perfect.
Wonderful.
Good.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure where I'm cutting in and out. I'm moving around my computer a little bit. You hear everything fine?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So testing the share function. Let's see here. And do you all see a screen?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, we did something. Great. I will stop the share now.
All right.
And then let me grab something and we'll test my video.
Sure. Hey, Teresa, I think I made you the host.
Yes, got it. Now I can do breakout rooms. Thank you.
So Mary, I hope you got my message about my format. Will be a little bit interactive.
Yeah, that sounds great. I sent you, it's fine if you didn't see it because it's basically the same as yesterday, but a little bit of a run of show telling you who is going to be on the call and stuff.
I got it. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no, that sounds perfect, Sam. We're testing out the breakout room function, which is kind of interesting. So we're gonna, you will, I think, Teresa, you're in charge of that. My colleague Teresa there. We're gonna break people into groups of 15, about 15 people each. And if you wanna, at the end of your kind of time, if you wanna ask those breakout rooms to think of a question or talk about their own experiences of leading in a stressful time, then we'll put them into breakouts and they'll talk. And there'll be a legacy moderator in each one of the breakout rooms just to keep the conversation moving. And then we'll come back together. We wanted to have sort of a space within the whole exchange, virtual exchange, where people were feeling like they could share. So does that make sense?
It does. It does, and there'll be a little bit of that maybe in my presentation as well. So it'll be a primer maybe.
Okay, good. So
How many breakout groups did you have?
well, we had 62 people register, so we're thinking that we might have as many as 4 or 5 breakout rooms. So you'll be in one of them.
Do you name them and then people go to one of them?
No, you basically can pre-assign people, but we're not going to do that since we want to see what the show up rate is. You just sort of randomly put people into breakout rooms.
Okay, gotcha.
We're not able to see your video yet.
Hi, yeah, this is Ramona. I don't have video this morning, sorry.
That's okay, Ramona, no worries. There you
There's
are.
Sam.
I'm just checking with Sam. Sam Rasoul, our speaker. He's on. We're just
Hey, Jason.
Hello.
Hello.
hello. Oh, 1 minute, let me mute myself. Yeah, Mary.
I love the sound that it is making as people call in. It sounds like you're blowing a party favor.
It does sound like that.
Kazoo.
Yeah, exactly. We're celebrating. Everyone's
Kazoo,
together.
exactly right, a kazoo. We need a little humor now.
Here. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our first virtual series today. I'm Mary Helmig, Vice President of Youth Initiatives at Legacy International. And right now we have about 17 people, maybe more, keeps jumping. We're close to 20 people that have joined the call. And we had 60 people that registered. So this is truly a good global conversation we're having today. A couple of things. In the chat function, you will see our overview of our schedule for today. We have some opening remarks by Mr. Rash, the president of Legacy International, and then our featured speaker, Sam Rasoul, will do questions and answers as a general group. And then we'll be using the breakout function on Zoom to break into smaller groups. As one of our intentions is to really hear from all of you global leaders too in this time. After the breakout rooms, we'll come back. People can share some lessons learned, and then we'll do some conclusions. Okay? So I just want to give a brief overview of a couple of things. We'll be muting your microphones while the main speaker is speaking, but you can write any questions or comments in the chat group as they come to your mind. You can also use a feature in your top right hand. I believe that's where you can raise your hand if you have a question. And today we have a variety of alumni and friends of Legacy on the call. I'm just going to give a brief overview, then I'm going to send it to Mr. Rash. So we have about—
Can I ask a question first? I'm sorry. Did you mention that in the chat room we could see the layout of the day? I can't see it.
Yes, you should be able to see it in the chat. So on the call today, we have several Tech Girls alumni from 7 MENA countries and Central Asian countries. We have about 14 of our Tech Girls program alumni on the call. Welcome. We also have alumni from our professional fellows programs that have primarily taken place throughout the MENA region. We have some people who also participated in our Emerging Young Leaders Award program. And we have about 10 of our Legacy staff team. If you can all wave, if your video is on, there's about 10 of us on the call. And some very special people also who are partners with us in the local Roanoke County schools and some of our partners that we use and Global Ties Detroit and some homestay hosts from the Roanoke, Southwest Virginia area. So it's a really good combination of people. Again, feel free to use the chat if you have questions. Teresa, who will wave her hand, she's helping monitor the chat, and Bernie, also wave your hand. She's also helping with the technology today. So Mr. Rash, I'm going to leave it to you.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Good day, my friends. I want to welcome you to the first in a series of webinars as part of Legacy International's long-established Global Viewpoints Forum. I want to thank our staff, especially for organizing this forum. Thank you especially to Bernie and Teresa and Mary, who in the midst of restructuring the way we operate, the way we have to work, who have taken on this task with their usual calmness and expertise and enthusiasm for working at Legacy and with you all. I also want to recognize and introduce to you people who have been ardent supporters of Legacy International, who I hope will be presenters in the future months. I think first is Dr. Harold Robles. Harold, will you wave your hand for a minute, please? Who's the co-chair of Legacy
He's left his chair for a minute.
I'm sorry? Do you want me to go on?
I can hear you. I don't know if
Can
others
you
can
hear-
hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can,
others-
yes. Yeah, you can go on, I think. I think it's
Yeah,
all
it
right.
seems like some may be frozen.
Yeah.
Harold Robles, who's the co-chair of Legacy International's Board of Advisors and the founder of Health Promoters Africa. Please mute your, I don't understand what's happening. Okay, anyway, technology. He's the former founder of the Albert Schweitzer Institute and world famous lecturer and humanitarian. And I don't know if Zanezhna Slavach is on. I don't see her on, but who is a member of our teams of excellence and an entrepreneur and world-renowned expert on gamification and science of engagement and e-learning. They'll be presenting to you, I hope, in April and May. I also want to recognize Carol Armel. Carol's on, business consultant, expert in organizational management, and a former member of our board of directors. Forgive me if I've left anyone out. Are you all still hearing me? I hope you're still hearing me.
Yep.
Anyway, okay. Over the decades, my friends, this forum has taken on different forms. And originally, it was a series of meetings held in Washington, D.C. with notable speakers who focused on critical and challenging issues of the times. More recently, we've incorporated these forums into our programs and trainings as part of private funding and then grants from the State Department and Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, and also our individualized programs at various U.S. embassies, for various U.S. embassies. And today, for the foreseeable future, we're faced with incredible global challenges. Dominant are climate change and now the coronavirus with all of their associated realities, social, political, health, psychological, economic realities which we as leaders in our communities have tremendous responsibilities to address as we face a yet undefined new normal and are focused to address creating a new tomorrow today. We have to restructure and renew not only our personal lives, but help to envision and guide others to preserve all life on this fragile planet. My dear friends, this forum must be an opportunity for fulfilling the principles that are at the very core, the very foundation of Legacy International, universal values that we have shared in our work together, living by, promoting, creatively engaging in, designing and serving our communities and humanity based on compassion and love and justice and equality and equity and tolerance. Uniting technology and educational and learning methods, innovative and transformational tools with heartfelt commitment to positive change and the safety and security for yourself, for ourselves, and for others. And to envision and to help to create a world that manifests these qualities is attainable because of leaders like you. I hope to see this forum grow into individual groups who will address real problems in real time, share best practices, utilize this new network for the good of all. We are isolated now, but not siloed, and we're certainly not silenced by this invisible global illness. We are quite naturally anxious and fearful and not sure about what will unfold in the near and distant future, but we are also people of vision and people of compassion and love and also great knowledge. And as we aggregate that knowledge and experience across oceans and continents, across generational divides, and stimulate each other's vision, we will catapult the world into a positive new normal. We will catalyze exponential growth. You are the first to respond to this all not only for continued dialogue and learning, but creating from what we will learn and share together a better, healthier, safer, more equitable, progressive world. We have no choice. The truth is what's in our hearts and with good actions, good deeds, we can and we will succeed. So I welcome you. I'm grateful to you. I have faith in you. I am anxious to work alongside of you here in this electronic medium, God willing, soon in person, applying new methods and new ideas and new visions practically and locally and globally. Sam Rasoul, our guest speaker and guide for today, is a self-made entrepreneur, first-generation Palestinian American who rose to notoriety as being one of the youngest persons running for Congress of the United States. And although, much to my regret and our regret, when he didn't that seat, he did turn his attention toward the Commonwealth of Virginia and has won successive elections to the House of Delegates. A leader in the Democratic Party and progressive visionary, he brings his organizational management skills, entrepreneurial mindset, millennial vision, and cultural sensitivity to our state, and I'm sure to our nation. And he has participated in the legacy events, did trainings with Dr. Ira Kaufman in the Gulf on leadership and organizational transformation. And I'm very happy that Sam, my dear friend, agreed to take time at this critical point in Virginia and our nation to be with us today. Thank you, Sam, and I turn it over to you.
Well, hello everyone. Good afternoon where I'm at. I hope everyone is doing well. You just turned it over to me, and I think that my neighbors are cutting their grass just as we start. So hopefully you don't hear too much noise right next to me. Thank you to Legacy International for all of your wonderful work in helping create so much dialogue and so much so much caring and understanding around the globe. Thank you to Mary for thinking of me to facilitate a small conversation with you today, and to Dr. Rash for your leadership in so many ways. So today I am going to help to facilitate a little conversation, and I'm going to hope that our technology works. I'm going to share a screen with you, and then that screen will have a presentation that we can look at together. All right. Does this look right to you, Mary?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, great. So let me make some space here. All right. I have this not in presentation mode intentionally, because we're going to put some thoughts to paper together. I would love to, Mary, to be able to have folks unmuted, but then to voluntarily mute themselves as they have noise in the background, because we will, I will be asking some questions and hopefully get a few responses here and there, if that's okay.
Yes.
All right, so you asked me to talk a little bit about leading in stressful times, and I certainly don't know if I'm most qualified to discuss said topic, but maybe we'll come up with some answers together. The first thing I wanted to share are just a few thoughts that I have in respecting our space and time together. And so I hope that this is agreeable to everyone. First, there are no silly questions to me. Second, especially in these situations, we try to mute ourselves when not talking, especially if there's noise in the background, like your neighbor cutting their grass. And then third is to respect people's time. So keep your comments brief. I'm in Southwest Virginia, and I'm of Arab descent, so neither group is known for keeping comments brief. So especially all you Arabs who are on the call, we appreciate you respecting this time as well. So the first question that I'd like to ask of our friends here, and so this is a question that will solicit a response from folks, and so hopefully you'll be unmuted, is what you'd like to get out of today's meeting. So many of you joined, maybe just because you love Mary or Mr. Rash, and not sure what you wanted, but now that we're here, what would we like to get out of today's time together? And what I'm going to be doing is typing some of that in as we're going.
So just unmute yourself and say what you hope to get out of today.
To get inspired.
Get inspired. Thank you.
Hopefully you can see these changes in real time.
Yes.
Dynamic typing.
To be productive despite the circumstances.
How to be productive despite the circumstances. Thanks, Manal. Anyone else?
Yes, I would like to hear how others are continuing to lead their either students or institution in global engagement without getting overwhelmed about what is happening, how to keep the positive global engagement focus, and how we can do things at the local level. Sorry, that's a lot, but continue leading and leading at the local level.
Thank you, Ramona.
Sounds like the topic of all of these together. So that's a great topic to broach today.
Anybody else? Two more. Let's fill in two more.
I will say how to keep a positive mindset.
How to keep a positive mindset.
Okay, anybody want to bring up the last one? And there are way more than this I'm sure you wanted out of today, but anything else that comes to mind?
How to self-reflect on our roles in this time of crisis.
All right, excellent. So you'll find out at the end, but all of this will find a way to make this open source and get it back to you. But here are some of our goals for today. Learn new ways to help lead through this crisis, get inspired, how to be productive despite the circumstances, how others are leading in this in global engagement during this time, keeping a positive mindset, how to self-reflect on our roles in this time of crisis. That's great. And then this next question is for me and for others on the call who maybe don't know each other. But what skills or backgrounds do you all bring in a word or so? And I know we have way more than 12, but I'd like to just get a snapshot here. Maybe some of you are journalists, or maybe you have specific skills. What do you bring to the call today?
I think we have Harold Robles, who's a specialist in public health. So public health is a good category. There might be others out there.
I needed to find a button to unmute myself. Sorry, here I am. But indeed, public health and prevention. I would like to see public health and prevention together.
Thank you. I think we have
the national I notice is on too.
Sorry?
There's a woman by the name of Saneshna on, and I don't know if you can unmute and tell us your specialty.
Oh, I feel just like a student now. I'm ready just to listen and to learn. but okay, let's say knowledge management.
But she's a world expert. She's a world expert. She's a world expert in gamification.
Yeah, we
At
can.
e-learning.
Thank you.
Gamification. She's an expert in world-renowned expert in gamification and e-learning. I'll have to tell you again, as I told you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll put it all together because I know that there's lots of pieces. Is this the one? Is this from Croatia?
Yes, I'm from Croatia. Do you remember me?
My friend from Croatia, from Podravka.
Yes, nice to meet
Yes.
you. So-
Pleasure to see you again. Pleasure to see you again. E-learning and gamification. Other skills that maybe we'd like to bring to the table today?
Education.
Did you say education?
Communication.
Communication.
Communication. All right, excellent. Apple Communications.
As a part of Microsoft Arabic Council for Digital Good, I would say how to distinguish false information from non-false information, because since we're isolated, we're using the internet to know what is going on around the world and how to prevent from this disease and everything. So it is really crucial to know which sources to believe and which to not. So I think it is important.
All right, so I'm going to call this anti-fake news.
News.
This is Ramona. I think thinking outside of the box in a time where developments and changes are happening hourly.
Great. Other skills that you bring to this team of global movers and shakers?
Okay, hi, this is Alia from Egypt, and I am a career coach. So anyone with a career-related problem is welcome to ask. This is my skill. So
All
it's
right.
in career, mainly.
Career coaching.
All right. Career coaching, excellent.
Cultural competence and languages.
Cultural competence and languages.
Yes.
Rabib, if you're going to say something, go ahead. Otherwise, mute. There you go. Okay.
Okay, we've got a pretty good list. Any others that we'd like to add?
Hi, I am Rula, and I would like to add digital media skills. Technology and digital media skills is very important to design right messages, especially nowadays, and how people are using social media.
And when you all identify yourself, just say from what country you're from or
So
state.
I'm from Syria. I live in Boston, and I work as
Okay.
a creative for Apple.
Okay, excellent. Digital media skills, excellent. Thank you.
Welcome.
This is Jason. I'm from Washington, D.C. I have a background in emergency management and disaster response.
So you are bored out of your mind.
Okay, so I'm Tariq Matar from Neopreneur Lebanon, and I can bring on board some fintech and regulation technology, also with business growth, with startup, because we run an innovation hub. Thank you.
I'm gonna put you as our innovation chief right there.
Oof, it's too big name.
Oh, you got it. You got it. So obviously we have a lot to bring to the table, and this will be important in some of our conversation as we move forward. Thank you all for sharing not only some of your thoughts around what we want to accomplish today, but also what skills this particular team brings to the table. And here's a quote to kick us off. The difference between stumbling blocks and stepping stones is how we use them. And so today we're trying to figure out how to use those. And so what would this leading in stressful times be without an acronym? And so we've developed a nice little acronym. And this is, many of you are all juiced up on your morning or maybe now afternoon coffee. So I'm giving you your daily cream for your daily coffee. And so with this acronym, maybe this will help you specifically in this difficult time on how to manage and navigate. And we're going to come up with some thoughts together. So our acronym CREAM is for communication. We'll talk a lot more about that. Several of you are experts in communication who will be able to give us some input today, and you'll see that later. But it's not just merely how we communicate, the digital ways we communicate, through the press, the vernacular that we use, but it's also on another level, the empathy that we communicate with, the compassion, etc. So to me, communication is quite a holistic way of communicating. Number two, routine. In this age where a lot of us are maybe sheltered in place or limited in movement, in order to keep our sanity, we need to develop a daily order and develop this routine. Even if you don't adhere to it 100% every single day, it's important to set out a goal of a routine and try to hit it as much as you can. And some days you'll be better than others, but you can always look forward to the next day's routine. Third, empowerment. Finding ways in this very vulnerable time to empower others is, I think, critically important for lots of different reasons. Just imagine where people are at emotionally when you are doing your part to further empower and engage them. You take them to another place. And that's important, especially right now, while people are very vulnerable. Awareness. I am always working on my awareness, specifically my self-awareness, and trying to really understand, especially given the way we're communicating is a little bit different today. You know, I had the reminder that when I communicate with you, I need to not look at myself on the screen like I'm doing now, but look at the camera to talk to you, so I can be a little bit more aware of trying to communicate to you. I'm trying to get better at that. And then the last one, which is something maybe we normally wouldn't have thought as much about, is literally physical movement. Physical movement is good for the mind. In addition to obviously all of the physical positives behind integrating that, but literally integrating it into your daily routine very aggressively. So, you know, some of you have heard of the Pomodoro technique, where you're sitting for 25 minutes focused on something, and then 5 minutes of something else, which is usually some kind of physical movement, some stretching, making sure that you work, if some of you work out, if some of you go for a walk on a regular basis. The physical movement will help you to remain sane in these difficult times. So now, to break out CREAM a little bit more, I'd like to come back to you all, the team, and get some of your thoughts. Now, I know that we're going to have way more examples than we have listed here, potentially. But a couple of you talked about being communication experts in a number of different ways. I tried to list out a couple of examples, but I'd love for us as a team to fill this in. So number one, having a list of people, sorry, I'm in Southwest Virginia, so we say folks, but having a list of people to call each day. So I call my parents, I call my sisters, I call my brother, and especially since many of us are locked in, you want to regularly call them, and especially if you can, video chat them. But it's important for your mental health, but also for theirs. And of course, it's important to just see where they're at. Some of us are very active on social media, and that is good for some of us. For many of us, for some of us, maybe sometimes it's not as productive depending on what's on your social media. Those are a couple of examples. So now I would like to ask you all, what are some key communication techniques that we would like to put into your daily cream?
I think this is Mary from Legacy. I think one thing I've noticed too is a lot more communication with my coworkers, where it's not just about the to-do list, but it's about creativity and at this time and how can we be more creative. So I don't know whether I call that sort of like inspiring each other as coworkers as a communication technique.
Assalamu alaikum. I'd
Alaikum
like to add, I would like to add also to send positive articles and constructive thoughts and articles that you come across on the internet, because the people are spending a lot more time on the internet, and I'm sure drawn to reading a lot of the scary negative things. Seek out good articles, positive articles on good sources like Medium, for example, has really good sources of blogs and information to one another and inspiring things and futuristic.
Excellent. Thank you. Dr. Rash.
I would suggest that as a student, since we're not studying, like we're not going to school, so we're mostly studying online, I would say that it's important to keep good communication with our instructors and staff to keep on track with the classes and not to miss out on our semester.
All right, I'm gonna replace one of mine up here with that, because that's better.
Manal, where are you from?
I'm from Algeria.
Ahlan wa sahlan.
I would say that it's also important to put attention on the quality of communication, to put more empathy, to ask questions about other people's feelings, and so to just to put attention to the quality of this communication.
Now that's a really interesting point. Why would we want to emphasize the quality of communication? Anyone can answer that, but why would we want to overemphasize that?
This is Ramona. I'll take a shot at that because it has to do with what I was going to suggest. I'm really impressed with the creative ways around the world in which people who are in quarantine or isolation are communicating, not just via words or email, but music and artistically. And I think the quality of communication here comes when there were so many people who were worried about social media being something that was distracting us from the real world. And now we have a real world situation where so many creatives around the world are using that medium in good quality ways to communicate not only how they're working locally or how they're dealing with the situation, but it's quite inspiring and innovative, the things that I've seen. So kind of the good quality of use and creative energy of people around the world using the various social media.
Yep. I think that is great. For me, emphasizing the quality of my communication is particularly important because I'm unable to be able to pick up on the usual body language and sometimes tone of the communication that I normally might pick up on with my coworkers and some others. So not only have we found creative ways, like you had just mentioned, of connecting, which is, I think, great. by just trying to be extra sensitive to how the other side is receiving that information. Another thought on communication?
I have another thought. Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I would add the communication with yourself. Aware of what's your self-talk, trying to keep it uplifted and positive, and check in with yourself every day, how you're feeling and what's going on inside you.
Yeah, I think that is great. I saw in an article that maybe we're the first wave of folks who have we have emotions, or we have feelings about our feelings, which is interesting. So whereas maybe 30 years ago we didn't have so many feelings about our feelings. So I feel sad, but I shouldn't feel sad because other people have it worse than me. Well, maybe we should just stop and understand the feeling, whatever the feeling might be, instead of second guessing that feeling. So that's great. Some great points on communication. How about routine? What are some ways that you're keeping productive, keeping routine? I put a couple of things here: getting up at the same time every day, getting ready and not staying in your pajamas all day, which can certainly be easy to do. But I think it's important to just get up and go through your regular routine as much as possible. But what are some thoughts that you all have on how you've been keeping a regular routine?
Hi everyone, my name is Haley. I'm with Legacy International, the Tech Girls program. Something I've been doing is for many of us who, typically would commute to work, and so that driving time that I would use, whatever that may be for you, whether that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, some people may have what was a long commute, establish that for a home commute, if you will. So for me, instead of immediately checking my phone or going into a work time, establishing a home commute, whether that's making myself a cup of coffee and, reading some inspiring words, or whether that's checking in with a loved one. Establishing some time between waking up and starting work, I think, is important to be able to kind of have that balance in order to kind of, maintain a sense of calm and just being able to maintain that routine.
Great idea.
Hi, this is Bernie. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I think one thing that helps me is just having some kind of like spiritual practice. In some cases, for people, it might be a religious practice, just to sort of start off the day or end it or throughout.
Thank you. Other things folks are doing to keep a regular routine with yourself, with your team?
I would say definitely eat well and drink water as much as you can.
That is so important.
At home, we can, make good quality for food and get good vitamins and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's far easier to junk out at home with nobody there to shame you. So it's important to get into that routine for sure.
I study because I'm a student, I keep the same time for classes. For example, I have an English class at 8 a.m. I wake up at 8 a.m. and revise English in that time. So I keep the same periods at the same time, so I would not get, I wouldn't miss on anything.
Great one, thank you. How about, this is a little bit harder, I think, for some of us. What are you doing to empower yourself, but just as important, empowering others in these difficult times? I just put help find ways of helping people be productive, help find ways of for others to take control in their life. What are some thoughts that you might have?
Be always positive. Make sure that you're always positive.
And keep smiling.
And keep what?
Smiling.
Smiling.
Yeah.
You got it.
I think that comment made me smile. So thank you to all who suggested that.
That's right.
I think one of the ways is to call people and ask if they need help. I happen to have my husband and I moved into a new neighborhood in January. We don't know our neighbors very well, but I just called them and said, hey, I'm here. I'm more mobile than they are. And even my family, our family is across the United States and Europe. So just calling them and letting them know, hey, is there anything I can do for you from afar? And then anything that we can do, simple things.
Good one, thank you.
I would suggest that sharing our own productive work is going to help others get inspired and jump into their work as well, like influencing them.
Give us an example.
For example, I would give an example about being a student because that's what I am. For me, like me in my classwork, since we're international students, like I'm from Algeria, but I don't study in Algeria. I study in Lebanon. I'm on a full scholarship. So during this crisis, we had to go back to our countries, which was completely demotivating. At first, it was really hard to get back to classes and online classes, especially with the time delay between the two countries and everything that was going on. It was really hard to get back to work. So when some of us started actually being motivated and sharing on their stories on Instagram and their social media, that they're actually doing fine and they're making it work, and they're revising, they're motivated and started inspiring us and sharing with us their work. They're taking other online classes, for example, Harvard or others other than their university classes, their assigned ones. So personally, I wasn't really able to start working until I saw other people doing it. So I guess that, and then I started doing the same, sharing my own work, and that helped other people as well. So I think it is very important to do that.
Yep, I think that's great.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I think also to extend your concept of collaboration in the sense of, even if you think you know the answers to some of the questions you're facing or some of the things you have to plan, ask others to weigh in, collaborate more, be more transparent, and invite people to collaborate with you.
Dr. Rash is spot on. Here were the empowerment topics and tips that we just came up with. And I wanted to share this with you on the participation scale. Those of you know I have an organizational development hat, and you had heard that I'm also a politician. And so politicians have a lot to say all the time. We love to talk. And so when I was asked several days ago to participate here and to share some things with you, I mean, instantly there's a lot to say. But to Dr. Rash's specific point, instead of going to all that I wanted to say in this moment, the empowerment that I wanted to lead with here was for us to come up with a collaborative work product together. And so presentation and leading in these stressful times is to not a great example, but it is one example of how we can bring to life maybe these different ways of communicating. And so that's why I chose to conduct this PowerPoint in a collaborative way to get some thoughts from you. But specifically, I wanted to show you why in today's day and age, beyond coronavirus, before this even started, why this is pretty important. So there's a great book. I'm actually going to grab it since we're on video, called New Power. I don't know if it's backwards or forwards the way you see it, but this book, New Power, and interestingly, here's the subtitle: How Anyone Can Persuade, Mobilize, and Succeed in Our Chaotic, Connected Age. So this doesn't have all of the answers, New Power, but what was interesting is a lot of the topics, and I like to point to this participation scale because it talks about how we consume and how we bring people into our movements and to what we're doing. So traditionally, if you can see my cursor, we've sent out information through TV, radio, newspaper. Then this is the start of the internet. We began to share our information or share content. Then as we evolved, we began to see new mediums come in that help to shape, fund, produce. And here today, this PowerPoint maybe is an example. It's not a great co-produced product because I certainly am providing the framework. We could argue about the framework itself. I developed the acronym CREAM, but to co-own and co-produce this is, I think, a critical part of empowerment. Next, we'll go to awareness. We already heard a couple of great items around awareness. Are there other tips that we might share? I know someone had already shared, to make sure you're asking yourself specific questions.
Maybe be aware of the words we use and try to avoid speaking bad about things, people.
Yep. That can be very easy to do, especially some of you who watch the news. We have a certain personality that comes on the news on a regular basis, and sometimes we have words. Those words we will try to keep to ourselves and try to focus on the positive words that we can share with one another. That's a great point.
Okay, I can add something, but I'll keep the phrasing for you, Sam. Is to be aware of how we are spending our times, because in these tough times, usually times are they slip and we don't feel how we spend our time, and we surprisingly find that the day is over and we haven't accomplished much. So we have to be aware of our time.
Yeah, it's so easy to let these days be wasted. I have 3 children, and I usually try to take some of the nice days and play outside with them or come up with some other ideas. So don't waste this time, for sure. Thank you, Alia.
Hi, this is Haley again. I think in terms of the intentional action, something that's helpful is journaling or a version of it, whether it's blogging or whether it's just, writing out, to yourself or even to friends. I think that kind of awareness can be helped when you're actually, transmitting your thoughts into, written word.
Yes. And I think that's particularly helpful as a person who works in organizational development myself. The part of your brain that's in control of feelings cannot communicate. So there's a separate part of our brain that communicates. And so to reconcile that, this is an awesome way of doing that: journaling, blogging, writing about our feelings.
I think somewhat attached to that, but a little bit different, is the practice of, I think most of us have heard of the practice of gratefulness every day. And one thing is before, turning in for the night is just to write 5 things for which one is grateful for. And in these days, it's becoming very simple, such as, thank you for not having coronavirus today, or thank you for all of my loved ones who are safe. And that's I know has helped me and others that I know.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
If I can add another one, which is stop, breathe. Because breath has 2 things. Breath is going to stimulate your memory and all of the things that are aware that you have in the previous points, and it's to help your lungs. It helps you on a physical level and the spiritual level. Stop and breathe and watch your breath and be in that moment. And try to do that every hour for 40 seconds. 40 seconds. If you want to put it in a religious context, alhamdulillah. If not, in an ethical context, just stop, think your positive thoughts, be aware of your actions, all the things that were said, 40 seconds out of every minute.
And thank you. This is Bernie. I just want to share one more that kind of goes with number 1 about determining what your anxieties are. And sometimes the anxieties come from like cognitive distortions where it's like an all or nothing thought process where like if I didn't get everything done today, then well, it's worth nothing. And to just be aware of, when, I'm doing that, or and to recognize that little steps can actually make a huge impact. It doesn't have to be all or nothing.
That fair? I think that's good. Thank you, Bernie. In our awareness, our self-awareness, we know our 4 selves here: the open self, blind self, hidden, and unknown. So to be aware of those, I think, is important. How?
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Is it Johari window, the diagram?
Johari.
I'm sorry. Atma was saying something?
I think she was asking if this is the Johari window example, but we're not sure. So we'll just keep going.
About that.
Mm-hmm. And this might help as well. In the next window right here is how to then navigate these 4. You can, the open self is what everyone knows and what you know.
Yeah.
The self that you don't know but others know is the blind self. You're blind to this part of yourself. So you have to ask for feedback from people. And then the part you know but others don't know is your secret self. And you need disclosure. And the part of you that others around you do not know and that you do not know is your hidden self. And that requires an exploration, changing your environment, challenging paradigms. This can be the most difficult, but I find self-awareness to be one of the most important parts of leadership. And then awareness as an individual, and then as in an organization. There's a concept of storming, which is fleshed out a little bit more in the New Power book. Now is an important time to really try to, the whole purpose of this concept of storming is to say, what would I do if? Or this is happening now, what are the various paths in moving forward? And so that way you're ready for whatever comes down the pike. And so organizations, individuals in their family units, maybe especially now, are conducting a variety of storming. You certainly don't want to just sit there idly and wait for whatever is going to occur. While certainly you can't predict everything that's going to, You can try to come up with what are most likely scenarios and move from there. And then the last one, and then we'll move on to Q&A, or however else Mary would like us to move forward, is movement. This is particularly important. And so what are some good quick thoughts on movement? I've got making sure we get our fresh air daily, finding new ways of being active and practice social distancing. What are some other things that you're doing for your daily movement?
Make sure to get fresh air daily, find new ways to be active and practice social distancing.
This is Ramona. I'm a yoga practitioner and I'm a firm believer in it. And I know somebody else was talking about breathing, but the practice of yoga is so wonderful. And I passed on to some of our students that there are now a lot of yogis who are offering free online, guidance from beginners to advanced in this time because people are self-isolating. So any form of breath, body movement, is great, and I think yoga is one of the things that could be really useful now.
Thank you, Ramona. That's very important.
I just want to mention that Tracy Verma is on, and Tracy is a very famous yoga teacher in New York and in other parts of the United States. And maybe Tracy can make herself available to people who might want to meet up with her at some time too. I also suggest doing Qigong. I have my students in Sufism. We do. I encourage Qigong because it's a very relaxed form of energizing the body and the mind, and can be done sitting or standing, and it's a very good practice. I suggest if you want, LeeHolden.com, Holden Qigong, Lee Holden, HOLDEN.com has out a free series for addressing the coronavirus, both mentally and physically, and you can sign up for that.
Thank you.
And I would encourage about yoga that it's not something you have to just take a chunk out of your day to do. You can just stand up and take a break from sitting and just do a couple of standing poses and integrate a little bit here and there through your day.
I think I would, I have some friends who are ill, and so caretaking requires a lot of disinfecting and movement, but I think this is kind of a movement, but it's more a movement of the mind. It's just visualizations too. I've been out doing a lot of outdoor work, just being outside landscaping, which is stuff that I usually don't get to till May. It's getting a head start.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So I know we have lots of great ideas on movement that can carry us forward. Being mindful of our time, because I know I've taken a lot of it. We can. I think I've swallowed all of our Q&A time, which is great. But we've had a lot of good conversation together. And what I'll do is I'll put up a little thanks here, and then I'll let Mary tell me if she wants to do a Q&A or how she would like to proceed from here. But I appreciate you all letting me share a few thoughts with you.
Sam, two things. Would you put up the Qigong next yoga, and also make this totally available to everybody so they can download it?
Yes, open source is the way of the future, and it's also outlined in this book that I did not write, so I don't get any royalties here, but that is, we're gonna get this on to Mary, and she'll get it on to everyone.
So, sorry, Mr. Ash, go ahead.
No, I just said Sachtan.
So if you notice in the chat, Jason from Legacy put the Amazon link to the book, so you can check that out. I think, Sam, if you can unshare your screen, I think what we can do, we have about 7-8 minutes. I'd like to kind of go across everybody, and maybe you could just say who you are, what you know, or just takeaway point. Like where has this session kind of led you? So I will try to call your name and ask for some response. I'm going to skip over the legacy staff at the moment and see how much we can get from the participation pool. So tell us who you are, where you're from, and maybe something that you're taking away from this session, okay? So I'm going to start with Fatma Usmani.
Hi, I'm Fatima Osmani. I'm from Morocco. I participate in 2011 in Nashi initiative with Legacy International, and I learned many things. I thank Mr. Sam Rasoul for his good presentation. I learned many things. Me too. I'm a midwife and I'm an epidemiologist. I'm teacher. I give a course of communication in the Institute of Nurse in Rabat, and there is many things that I share with students. There is many things in this presentation that I also share with my students. And in this time of crisis, we need like this idea to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all you're doing in Morocco. I'm sure you're very busy keeping.
Yeah.
All right. Manel, we've heard from you quite a bit, but just tell us briefly what you're taking away.
Hi, my name is Manel. I'm from Algeria. I'm a Tech Girl 2018, and I'm currently a student in Middle East and Initiative Partnership Scholarship, funded by the United States, by the U.S. Department of State. I would like to thank you so much for today's session. I definitely learned a lot, especially about movement, which I think I really need because I'm just sitting all day on my computer. Also, I would like to thank Mr. Raj a lot. This experience with Legacy International has changed my life, and I miss you guys a lot. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. Dr. Robles, do you have anything you'd like to share briefly with us? You might be on mute. Let's see if I can unmute.
Let me find the mute button. Yeah. No, this was very inspiring, and I'm thanking Sam very much. Also on behalf of Legacy International for taking the lead here and starting these wonderful series of webinars. Very exciting. We're doing practically the same thing. As a matter of fact, we're starting next week with webinars weekly, especially now in this coronavirus. We have so many health promoters in Africa and Lesotho who are counting on us, and who all of a sudden just had to close shop because of this horrible virus, and many unanswered questions. So we are starting with epidemiologists, with experts in this virus, to have webinars with all of our senior health promoters, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them in the meantime in South Africa, to answer the questions that they are receiving every single day from future clients, but also from our local partners and stakeholders. So I love the idea, the way you did it, and I might pick some of your ideas also for next week's event. But this is the beauty of the relationship that Health Promoters has with Legacy International, which has been going on, I don't know, for about 30 odd years or more. How many? 20 years? He was. I think he was showing me something.
35.
Many years. Sorry?
35 years, I think.
35 years. Yeah. I mean, it's a long time ago. At that time, Mr. Raj and I had still hair, so you can imagine it's a long time ago. Now we are bald. We are both bald and old, but we're not giving up. We're continuing. So, having keep it short. Sam, thank you very much. I really appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to the next presenter.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, Rula, tell us briefly what you take away.
Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for doing this Legacy International, and thank you, Sam. Actually, I signed up to this webinar thinking that I want to learn how I can help my community, that I really need to do something to them, and just like, you know, learning how important to take care of myself first and not forgetting about that so I can really help them. That was great. It just makes me feel, talking about emotions makes me feel like, yeah, better. That still, it's fine to have my self-time in the morning instead of doing an extra online course or something. So I feel like, yeah, it's really important to learn about taking care of yourself so you really can help, that not being selfish or anything. So that was like my biggest takeaway. Thank you.
I want to just say how nice it is to see you again, because I follow you on Facebook, but I don't talk much to you. And I'm so happy to see you and know that you're still here and you're making a wonderful community contribution.
I'm so
to your
happy to see you all too. Thank you so much, my family.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you.
Sadia. Sadia Abusova. You might be on mute or you can't hear me. Yeah, your turn.
Hi.
Go ahead, say something. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. Sadia will come back to
I'm
you.
Sadia from Uzbekistan, and I'm a tech girl member from 2019. Okay.
I think your internet might be a little bit slow, but you're from Uzbekistan and you're a tech girl. Thanks for joining us today. We'll try to come back to you in a minute, okay? And Aliyah.
Yeah, okay, so and my name is Alia. This is how we pronounce it in Arabic, so it's Alia in English. It's really good to see the legacy team, Mr. Vash, Atifa, Teresa, my favorite, and Jason. I'm talking to you from Egypt, and my takeaway, just to keep a long story short, I have been doing some free seminars online, utilizing my expertise as a career coach and a trainer. And actually, I started to feel in a way that it is a bit overwhelming because I have to prepare a lot. But surprisingly, after today's seminar and Sam's contribution, I feel like I want to participate more and maybe invite you guys to one of the seminars that I'll be thinking of and sharing with Legacy Team as part of communication and moving on, or as a part of the cream on my coffee. So thank you all for this opportunity and wishing you best of luck for all the coming seminars. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to just jump to some other folks here that I see in the queue. How about Carla? I think Carla is from Lebanon. I'm not sure, Carla Sweet. Do you want to say anything?
I'm Carla Sweat from Lebanon. I have participated in Tech Girls last summer, and I'm a student, a senior. I would like to say that this presentation have helped me maybe focus more on being relaxed and handling the situation in a better way, especially in these stressful situations. I think in these times, the best way to foster a healthy environment is to stay calm and maybe abide by the cream, which is communication, routine, empowerment, awareness, and movement. I think it's a great idea, and thank you so much.
Wonderful. And Tarek. Tarek Matar.
Okay, thank you. So again, I'm Tarek Matar from Lebanon, Neopreneur. As we are isolated at the self-quarantine in Byblos in our home with like two kids and then there was all the family, I wanted to come and to share my experience and to know from your experience. We know we are all everybody is isolated, so everybody think he's the only one in trouble or in quarantine. So, and finally we saw that everybody is in had the same situation, and therefore it's happy to see that although we are all separated, but we are all each by our side, we are together, we're trying to help each other, and this is mean a lot to every one of us, and also to the team at Neopreneur, and also here like a team, my legacy team as well. So, and it's a nice opportunity to see everybody, to see Dr. Rash, Atefe, Jason, to see everybody again, and all my teammate as well. So thank you, Dr. Sam, for the presentation. It was enriching, and for us, like what to do next. Now we have a lot of ideas that we can use them to overcome our quarantine. Still, as we see, we have a lot of time to stay isolated. Thank you.
Thank you. And to all our friends in Lebanon, it's been quite a year of disruption for you. So probably have lessons to teach us on how to stay positive.
We are still in a non-stop action in Lebanon. Yeah. We're still. And it will train, I think, much, a bit till the end of this year.
Okay. Hanan. Is that how you say your name? Go ahead, Hanan.
Yeah, this is Hanan. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing so well. I joined in the first 20 minutes. Thank you so much, Legacy International and Mr. Sam, for the enriching content. What I will take with me is the awareness part, because in this situation, we have to give more attention to our body and the mind and spirit. And we have to be very mindful to how we speak to ourselves and how we speak to others. Especially if you are in a house with like 6 other people with your family, and you have to be very considerate to everyone's emotions. And yeah, so thank you so much, and I will take that with me. Thank you so much, and very looking forward to the next webinars.
Great. I'm just going to take 1 or 2 more comments and we'll wrap up, okay? I just want to see if Alejandra has anything that you'd like to say.
Hi, my name is Alejandra Dávalos. I am from Mexico. I'm a student. I just want to say you that what I took from this is that we have to take the situation with the best and the most positive attitude that we can. We can learn new things and spend some time thinking about our mental and physical health. We can also help others from our houses. And well, thank you very much for organizing all of these things. You help us so much, with this. So thank you.
It's nice to have you on from Mexico. Thank you. I want to go to Mohammed Sanusi, I think.
Hi, how are you? I'm Mohammed from Luxor, from Egypt. I was with the Legacy International within the last PFP program. Are you talking about the coronavirus and the situation now?
Yeah, we were just gathering some takeaway points from our session that we had just now. I don't know if you were on for the whole thing or just joined us.
I just started from the last 5 minutes. So.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm happy to be with you, and I think the situation now, the whole nations are united together to stop this kind of coronavirus issue, and I think very soon everything will be okay. So I'm taking this point from a positive point of view. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good time for all of us to prepare themselves for the period after the coronavirus situation.
Thank you.
So we can take it from the positive way.
Yes. Sam, do you want to add anything? And then we'll go to Mr. Rash for closing.
Well, thank you very much for your takeaways and your feedback. There was a great piece that maybe I'll copy and paste into the comment section from Harvard Business Review this week. that all that we're going through or going through the stages of grief in all of this. And it's called anticipatory grief, which is the feeling of an uncertain future. And so I think if we follow that logic, you will trace your feelings in all of this and the feelings of those around you. First, denial that this is not going to affect us, and then anger. We're mad because we're staying at home and having to listen to politicians give these presentations for legacy. Then bargaining, where we are saying, well, we're going to keep our social distance for a period of time and then it's all going to go away. Then sadness, where that's starting to set in for a lot of people. I don't know when this is going to end. But then the last one, and then they talk about even a sixth one, is acceptance. This is happening and I need to figure out how to proceed. And today we talked about this acronym that I made up called CREAM as a way of accepting and figuring out how we're going to deal with it. Because once we accept it, we're in control, and that control lessens our anxieties. Thank you so much, Mary and Legacy team, for inviting me to share a few thoughts with you today.
Thank you. Mr. Ash.
Well, first of all, thank you, Sam. You are a unique politician because your heart is bigger than your head, and your head is full of brilliance and light. And I'm so grateful that you are not only presenting today, but that you're a longtime friend of mine personally and of Legacy International. Thank you for everything you gave us today, and I hope to see you again soon, and all our love and khair for the family. So jazakallah khair, Sidi, and so much gratitude. Shukr. I think that this is a great example. Thank you, Harold, for joining. Thank you, Zaneshna, for joining, our special guests today who will be presenting in the future. Thank you to others from our staff who I see are on, that I didn't mention earlier. Atifa and Samah was on, and others who joined us. And most of all, to those of you from all of our alumni, our dear friends, who we miss terribly all the time. And now this very serious global event has brought us together. And we can only hope that this is the message, the light instead of, the nur instead of the nar, the light instead of the fire of this virus. I have written a long piece on Medium, but it's been Ilona and I are breaking it up into 9 blogs, and it's interesting enough. I don't know why, but in October, November, December, whenever I started writing it, and then we posted, I think in January, I used the analogy of a virus and remedies. Well, I guess after 40, 50 years of meditation, something happened that maybe there's some insight into something, but all I hope for is that whatever insights that you have, that you share with one another in the open source environment, in the collaborative environment, and take time for yourself, and to breathe, and to enjoy your life and each other's company and nature as spring blossoms here. And remember that our real nobility and our real honor lies in our iman, in our faith, and in our, what we say in Arabic, in our marifa, in our knowledge. And so, not in our property and not in our rank or position in the world, but so we have to strive to increase our faith and our trust, and we have to find the best ways to do our good deeds. And for that, we can help each other in countless ways, as we found out today. So redouble your efforts, pay attention, feel with your heart before you think with your head, and let's build the legacy we've been talking about, a positive legacy for the future. There are going to be ups and downs in this curve. And right now we're maybe feeling very up, and 2 days from now, we don't know what's going to hit. So we're here and we help each other. It's not all uphill. It's not all down to the status quo. The new normal will not be the status quo that we came from. And
Take care. Your internet slowed down there, Mr. Ash.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're back in now.
You're back in now, but your internet's slowing down.
Well, anyway, the total of it is, yes, we have to be positive. We have to accept the fact that there are going to be ups and downs in this cycle. We have to know that each other are there for one another. We have to contribute to create the legacy that we've been talking about for almost 50 years, a legacy of goodness and consciousness and love for one another and practicality. So thank you, everyone. I look forward to the next session together, and I appreciate all this wonderful commitment and loyalty, and we're with you. And feel free to contact me. I do my best in these busy times to get back to you as soon as I can. And yes, you're right, Sam. I have to keep looking at the camera.
So speaking about cameras, Teresa wants to take a screenshot. So for those of you who are comfortable with your photo on a screenshot, please unmute your video. And those of you who are not, go ahead and stop your video. But we'll take a screenshot real quick before we leave. And we'll smile this coronavirus away. How about that? All right, go ahead, Teresa. Thank you. All right, and Bernie is just going to share, we'll have this on our Facebook page too, the upcoming sessions and topics that we've got planned out through October. So next week we're doing a goal setting in times of disruption with Raj Kumar. The next week we're going to be talking about growing your network using virtual tools. April 16th, measuring your social impact. That's something we can all look at and refresh our memories since we're all such movers and shakers. And then on 23rd, we'll do a little bit more about spreading your message digitally. And if anybody is interested in being a presenter in the future, please contact us. And thank you again for joining us today. Have a great rest of your evenings, afternoons, and thanks again, Sam. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. So good to see everyone.
Great to see you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nice to see you
See you
all.
soon.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks for your shares.